Hi, Michelle DeGrez here. Today for my read aloud, I'll be reading Martin's Big Words for kids at a third grade level. Okay, everybody gather around. Today we'll be reading a story on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called Martin's Big Words. Can anybody tell me what they know about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Right, so Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a civil rights activist. What a civil rights activist is, it's someone who fights for the rights of everybody. So he participated and led protests to end segregation in the 1960s. The story will go on to tell you a lot about Martin's life and what he went through when fighting for other people. Martin's Big Words, the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs, white only. His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Based on the picture and what I've read, can anybody guess and tell me what a hymn is? Yes, so a hymn is a song. Hymns are mostly sung in churches and chapels, and hymns are mostly praising God. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he used the big words he had learned as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Have any of you ever been treated badly, but instead of reacting with violence, has turned away and walked away from the pain? Yeah, so that's what the Indian nation did under Gandhi. They decided instead of fighting with guns, they would fight with love. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest, made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. Has anybody ever heard of Rosa Parks and her story? Yes, so Rosa Parks is the woman, as the story said, who would not give her seat up to a white man because she was tired after work. This wasn't allowed in 1955, so she was arrested. This situation ignited the Montgomery bus boycott, where African Americans in the Montgomery area refused to ride the buses and walk everywhere. This took a big hit to the bus industry in this area. You can actually find the real bus that Rosa Parks sat on in our own Henry Ford Museum. Check that out. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived Black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, Black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Wait. For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. Does anybody have any idea why Martin stood with these people and fought with them and protested with them? Yes, Martin was a very nice man, but he really wanted to get these people and himself the rights they deserved. These people were treated badly all the time, and bringing attention to this fact by protesting helped city leaders make more civil rights decisions. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some Black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed, his brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement. Have any of you ever been scared of change? Change is hard on people. Maybe if you've moved to a new house or to a new school, you know what this feels like. Well, these white people were afraid of change. They were afraid that African Americans would gain the same rights of them and their whole world would be turned upside down. Sometimes change is not the best, but in this case, change was necessary. People needed to know the value of African Americans and realize that they are not lesser than anybody else. And Martin stood up for those people and helped them gain those rights. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little Black boys and Black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Does anybody know what segregation is? It's okay. Segregation is division, dividing by skin color. So white people and Black people couldn't use the same things, couldn't go to the same places without it being an issue. So segregation is the separation by color, by your skin color. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed him. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot. He died. His big words are alive for us today. So that's the end of our book today. Do you have any questions? No? So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted the same rights for people of color as anybody else. He wanted people of color to be able to dine at the same restaurants, drink out of the same water fountains, go to the same schools, all of those things. He taught us that everybody deserves respect, and we should fight for that right. We can start by doing this right here in our classroom, by treating everybody with respect no matter what, being kind to everybody, helping everybody, being friends with everybody. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood up for our rights. If you want to look at the pictures more or read the fun facts in the back of the book, feel free. The book will be on the horseshoe table in the back, so you can look at that during snack time.